Hey y'all, Marcy Jean here, and welcome to another episode of Chocolate Covered Chaos. I want to take this time to do an unsolicited book review of this phenomenal read called Exposing the Rejection Mindset by Mark DeJesus. It has been transformational in my life, as well as the lives of others who meet with us here on Fridays in our small group, which is called You Transformed. It's pretty cool to note on the back of Mark's book that he and his wife do a weekly online show called Transformed You. And when we were prepping for this small group, I did not know that. I had not read that little snippet on the back, but Holy Spirit gave us that name for the group, You Transformed. And lo and behold, there's no such thing as coincidence. My spiritual father, John Grayson, calls them a God incidence. So as God would have it, Mark and his wife do Transformed You, and we're doing Friday night You Transformed through some of the premises in this book. I'd like to read just a little bit to introduce you to it and get you excited about what I'm already learning. In the very first chapter, Mark says, everyone is born with key questions in their heart. When these questions are not answered in a healthy and solid manner, a rejection mindset forms within us. These two questions are, who am I and am I loved? Two key questions every heart has, who am I and am I loved? I want to move on to the second paragraph of chapter 2. It's important for you to understand that rejection is not just something that happens to you. It is a mindset that will infiltrate your every thought, perception, and motive. Fast forward. He says, take a look at every broken relationship, church split, divorce, midlife crisis, and nervous breakdown, and you will find a rejection mindset there. It will leave a trail of destroyed relationships and divided communities in its path, and I'm sure each one of you could give testimony to any one of those listed there. Rejection will keep us in a vortex of our unaddressed brokenness, repeating the cycles until we allow ourselves to engage in personal healing. This is the part I really want to speak to today, that personal healing part. If we will allow ourselves to reach places of personal healing, then rejection can't keep us in that vortex. And lastly, I want to read from chapter 2. The problem is we are so conditioned with just getting by, we don't see the greater potential nor the hindering mindsets that are in the way. So I want to challenge you to stop just getting by. Many people don't know that I'm actually in a relationship at the moment, talking to someone, if you will. And if I'm assessing everything correctly, it feels like I've been ghosted. No cap on that one, but my young adults and my teenagers will understand. Hopefully some of you have joined in, but it's kind of comical actually, because I don't really know if I'm being ghosted or not, but I will tell you that last night felt like being stood up. We had some plans and he just left me on red. So here's the beauty of all of this. Because I understand that everything in our lives is brought to us by our Creator, God, to draw His created into healthy, thriving relationship with Him, I'm at a place in my life where I don't have to accept this scenario as rejection. So I don't know if this person is ghosting me or not. I don't know if something happened last night, but I just know that I wasn't communicated with about all of that. And what I also know is that I don't have to sit in rejection. So God was really good to me last night in that I said, Lord, all of this, meaning this relationship with this man, is actually about drawing me close to you. So if I'm not supposed to be with him tonight, I know that that's your protection. I can't tell you who is responsible for saying it. I know it's quoted by Lisa Turkhurst a few times. It might be her own saying that man's rejection is God's protection. So I know he was protecting me from something last night. I don't know what that was. But I had the privilege of taking my daughter to work this morning, which could be seen as a burden, having to get up earlier than I would have had to on a Monday teacher workday. But I had to be up at 6:30 to get her from her house by 7:15, to get her to work by 8 o'clock. And then on my drive home, I decided to bask in my good daddy's love for me. So again, I had a choice this morning. I could drive home over analyzing everything that happened last night, going back through our text messages, wondering why I was ghosted, thinking about what's going on this morning. I could put it in stalker mode if I wanted to and see if he's home or see if he went to work and find out all of that. I mean, there's any number of things. I could text him, where were you last night? What's going on? All a plethora of things, right? But instead, I chose to rock out to some great worship music on my drive home from dropping Kara off. And one of the songs that played for me was Stephen Curtis Chapman's song, His Strength is Perfect. Man, Lord, thank God for good songwriters and musicians. His strength is perfect when our strength is gone. He'll carry us when we can't carry on. Raised in his power, the weak become strong. His strength is perfect. And I thought about how I'm being perfected in this. And yes, I am weak. I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to admit defeat or weakness or whatever you want to call that, being rejected by a man that I think is supposed to be interested in me. It doesn't matter. But that's exactly what the enemy wants for us. He wants us to be in a defeated place. So I rise up out of the fact that God's power is made perfect in my weakness. And then the next song that plays after that, and I don't know YouTube laws and regulations. I understand music and licensing and all that good stuff. But the next song that plays after that is a song that Becca Shea sings called It's Well. And I'm going to just humor you and YouTube and the licensing people by I got to give you the beginning, because if you don't know it, then you don't know what I'm about to talk about. It's well. You get the vibe. You get what's going on. It's so awesome. Whoa, and then the lyrics, y'all, like zoom in, put your listening ears on. The lyrics, it's well with my soul, I'm doing fine. I've got a date who's always on time. My heart is better whenever I just keep my eyes on him. It's well with my tears, they're filled with joy. My greatest fears have all been destroyed. My faith is better whenever I just keep my trust in him. I mean, so amazing. So amazing. On the cusp of what could have been disappointment, I get the lyrics that it's well with my soul, I'm doing fine. I've got a date who's always on time. So again, my daddy God showed up right on time this morning to encourage me and love me and remind me that all of this is about him. And whatever the outcome of this other situation, y'all, I'm just being transparent. I love Jesus too much to allow the enemy to keep me consumed by what this thing may or may not be. I also don't want to be dismissive, right? Because healing comes when we expose the rejection. So I don't want you to think that I didn't process some disappointment. We need to do that, but we don't have to sit in it. Y'all, you need to get this book, Exposing the Rejection Mindset. Y'all need to crank up this Becca Shea. It's well. Crank it up. It's good stuff. Rock out to it. Pull out some snapping of your fingers and whatever else you need. Until next time, have a great one.